Tonight, we're going to be talking about the holidays. We got two parties, East Coast, West Coast, we're going to review. We're going to talk about that Q4 earnings call. Disney Plus Day happened this week. And we're going to have a big discussion about Lost Animal Kingdom tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for November 14th, 2021. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And tonight we have our illustrious panel of experts to talk to you about all things Disney, starting with Mr. Patrick Hackett.
Hey, how's it going?
Kamila Sanders.
Hello, everyone.
And Coach, how are you?
It's game time. Let's do this. I'm excited
Let's do this.
It's prime time.
It's prime time, exactly. So there were two Christmas parties that debuted. We're going to talk about the East Coast one first, mostly because that's the one I got to go to. So let's make this about me as much as we possibly can. So we had the very Merriest After Hours, which is the replacement for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, and it's a little bit pricey. It's a little bit more expensive than your average party. It's about, I think, $170-$180, and the closer you get to Christmas, the more cash money it costs. There was a lot of cool stuff about this party. They had the mini fireworks return from the 2019 party. They had a live stage show for the first time. They had an actual parade happen. So I don't know if you guys read about this, saw it. I know, Patrick, you were just there catching the beginning of Christmas. Yeah, you missed it by 12 hours. Have you looked at this? Yep. Are you jealous that you didn't get to be a part of it? Tell me. Talk to me.
100% I'm jealous I didn't get to be a part of it, because this feels like a return to what we had before. I can't believe you actually put that up there. It is incredibly rude.
It's incredibly accurate, too.
I am fantastic at bowling. I don't know what anyone's talking about. I was full of sushi. This looks like a return, an actual parade, fireworks, something worth paying for. Boo Bash was not worth paying for, but this looks like a return to Very Merry, and let's get special fireworks, special parades. I think there's some great changes that have happened, and hopefully we see some of the good that came with COVID, which is a terrible sentence to say, stay with us, but also see some of the bad hustled out. We need to get these events to have value again. It shouldn't just be a place where I have to walk around and buy more desserts.
What's wrong with desserts? Okay.
Nothing. I mean, they're delicious.
All right. Kamila?
Yeah, I'm sure it was a lot of fun. I'm sure it was a great way to get in the Christmas spirit. For me, it was still too expensive. And I say that as someone who had booked a December trip a year ago with the thought and hopes that I'd be able to attend my first, Very Merriest or Disney World Christmas party. But once I saw those prices come out, there was just no way in my mind I could justify it. And I watched quite a few different live streams of the first party, and it looked like fun. It looked like a great way to get into the Christmas spirit. I feel like I prefer that parade during the day. Something about it at night just kind of took away some of the luster for me. But I'm sure for the people who go, they have a good time.
Okay. Coach.
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. They're trying to push the envelope, see what they can do. I think almost, I call it like Disney amnesia. I think we sort of forget that we used to have a lot of these things before. And they're like, hey, we're going to give you this thing that you already had, but we're going to charge you more for it. It's a little disappointing. Obviously exciting to see that the parades come back. I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, well, if you can do it for an after-hours special thing, is there a way that we can maybe do it during the day, like Kamila said? Gives me hope that way. So hopefully that's an indication that changes are coming.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think the offerings were good, and it was good to see a full parade and to see fireworks. And when you see a full parade and full fireworks, and you go, why can't we also have trams? COVID COVID rules. You never know what COVID's up to. If you're sitting down at a meal, it can't get you, and apparently, if you're sitting in a tram, it can. So, I think that the fireworks were amazing. This particular fireworks show, I think, was really, really well done. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time by Paul McCartney playing in the Magic Kingdom is a surreal effect. But other than that, like the stage show is cool. They had the pickers hanging out in Frontierland. And you know what? Here's the problem that I have with it, though. The party in general was good. It was the kind of thing you would expect from Mickey's Not So Scary, etc. But the crowd level did not look like I paid $180 for this ticket kind of crowd level. It looked like the crowd level you get with the regular, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which that was one of the complaints people were having about the Halloween and Christmas party as we got nearer to those, is they were saying like, hey, there's too many people here. I can't really do anything. I can go into the Christmas party and see Santa and like one other character and get like a churro and leave, or I can ride some attractions. I can't do a lot in here. And the after hours events, the way they used to be, you could kind of walk through it almost ghost town like, get your free soda and popcorn and ice cream novelties, and it was seemingly somewhat worth it, especially in this world where we've got to pay Lightning Lane and Genie Plus prices. The idea that you could have the park to yourself, but it's just not that way anymore. I don't know if you guys saw any videos of that along the way and saw the crowds.
It's
interesting.
Been a big complaint.
We'll start with Kamala.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Well,
no.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
saying.
Good.
I was just going to say very quickly, it's interesting that you say that, though, Rob, because I thought the whole point of why these events had gotten so much more expensive was so that they could keep the crowd size a little bit lower. Because I do remember that was a complaint previously, especially for the Christmas party, is it was just so packed. So to hear that not only have prices risen, but they've still packed as many people into that as possible. And I know that night, was a sellout night. I think that's a little concerning.
Yeah, I agree. Patrick?
When you're doing these events, you basically have to pick two things that you're going to do. And that's not what you're paying for. You can see the parade and see fireworks. You can ride attractions, maybe get a snack. Or you can meet characters and, one other thing. You have to pick these two because it's so time committed because of the crowd levels that we're talking about. And that kind of makes you think, where is that money going? Did they really price it enough so people wouldn't go? Or are they selling too many tickets? Because as we'll get to later on, this is a very bottom line driven company right now.
What? How dare you, sir? Care Bear has reinforced the fact in chat that it is not free, it is complimentary. Yet I still feel like if I'm going to an event like that, I need to fill up on whatever it is. If I'm going to the Halloween party, I need to get my money's worth of candy, and I need to get my hot cocoa and my cookie and my popcorn, and then another round of popcorn. And how many Diet Coke bottles can I fit in my bag before I leave? That kind of thing. It's just good business. Kamila.
No, I was thinking about too, like some of the exclusive things that you can purchase to eat, some of the desserts and the shakes and all of that. And there's just something about like how expensive some of those items are, and then the fact that you had to pay so much to get in there, and then these are exclusive to the party, so you can pay this money to get these when there are these other complimentary desserts. I don't know. I hope, I'm sure that for the most of the people that go, they do feel like it's worth it and there's good value. But to me, like the December prices were in the $200 range per person, and they're just no way.
Yeah, you're talking about the party exclusive food.
Yes.
So the Orange Bird churro. You know what? I mean, I don't know if this was good, but it looks really great. I wish it was a little more centered on this tray. That's playing with my OCD a little bit. But then there was this
this one
ginger
looks good.
apple funnel cake.
That looks really good.
Man, you know what? You have me a funnel cake, and whatever you throw on top of it, yes, that's going to be fantastic too. And then there was this Christmas cookie milkshake. which, I mean, they have cookies were part of the thing. You get hot chocolate and cookies, but now you could also, like you said, you buy this $5, $6, $7 dessert on top of it, and because you're a party guest, you have the opportunity to spend more money on these premium items.
Right.
Bless them, bless their hearts for pulling that together. You know what, though? One of the things that's disappointing to me as a merch-aholic, I guess I'm going to say, is that there was no party-specific merch for this event, or to my knowledge, the one on the West Coast either. Patrick, how do you survive in a world like that, Patrick?
I was really bummed that there wasn't like a ton. I was expecting to see some of the leftover Halloween merchandise dumped into the stores after Halloween, and it really wasn't the case. And if it was there, it wasn't discounted. I don't know. This feels like a lost opportunity to take money out of our wallets. I love event-exclusive merch. I get it all the time.
Yeah, come on.
Got to get it.
Listen, can we just move on to the Disneyland part? Because if you want to feel scammed, you need to look at what Disneyland got compared to what Disney World got. And I just want to point out the Disneyland party was cheaper. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Wow. Look, Coach, I'm going to need you to be a little bit more aggressive out here on the floor, buddy. You know what? I need you to get in the game. I need you to be part of this. You know what? Come on.
Listen, Kamila, when Kamila's negative, it scares me. I'll be honest. No, I think it's one of those things where it's bizarre to me that you have a guy who's was in charge of merchandise, right? Evil Chapek. That's right, I said it. And he has all these opportunities where he wants to try to squeeze every ounce of per visit that he can get, but yet they don't track what the annual pass holders spend. They don't do basic things that other marketing people do, and then they literally have no idea what their annual pass holders sell. There's no kind of hey, how can we leverage this? But then they have an opportunity like this where clearly, no matter what event they put on, when they have event-specific merch, it gets sold, even when it's bad merch. And not only that, not for nothing, you're going to a very Merry Christmas. This is a great opportunity to, I don't know, buy souvenirs that you can then give as Christmas presents. It's amazing to me that wow, where'd you get this? I can never find this at a Target, although now you can. And I don't understand why. It's such an opportunity, and they just whiffed on it. And it's you knew you were going to have these events. It's the old Judge Judy line. You knew you were coming to court today. You didn't want to bring anything or dress up. You knew you were having this event. It wasn't we don't know if we're going to have it. You obviously knew you were having this. And it's everyone just did everyone just look at each other at the table and go, wait, you didn't order merch? Wait, you didn't order merch? You didn't order merch? Was that your job? Was that my job? Whose job was that? We're just going to pretend we don't have any. I don't know. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, you were doing pretty good, and then you referenced Judge Judy, so -4. But let's move on to the Merriest Nites. As Kamila said here, the Merriest Nites is the West Coast version. Now, you're going to have to talk about make it make sense. Very Merriest After Hours and Merriest Nites, kind of even Tom was getting a little confused, I think, when he was trying to explain it on News Today. So I don't get where this imaginative company couldn't come up with a slightly different name than this for the two parties. But that's a conversation for another day.
They named a ride Alien Swirling Saucer, knowing that people call it by acronyms.
They're not funny. That's just funny. That's just good comedy. So here's Merriest Nites.
What happened was
in California. So Merriest Nites was only 5 nights, I believe, and they all sold out within the first month, whereas I think we have 24 events on the East Coast, and some are sold out, but not all of them. The one right before Christmas is. Every night until tonight has sold out. I think tonight there were still tickets left, so if you're not watching this show, run, and if you're in Florida, you can go catch that party. But you know what, Kamila, I'm going to let you start with this one, but I will preface it by saying I did get to go to Oogie Boogie Bash, and comparing that to what I've seen at Disney World, you're right. I mean, Disney World needs to up their game because Disneyland comes to play.
You're getting scammed. I mean, with the Disney World parties, a little bit. I just want to, and here's a perfect example, right? When you go to the Disney World parties and you check in for your party night, right? They give you kind of this sad, lifeless little wristband, usually, is what it is. At Disneyland, you know what they give you? They give you a full-on lanyard, okay? And the lanyard for the party this year, for the Merriest Nites or whatever the Disneyland, holiday party is called, it was literally a light-up, what do you call those? Like a light-up holiday light, and then it had like a true like ticket, like that was like in the shape of a Mickey. So like, those necklaces where it's like the light bulbs in red and green? That was your ticket to get into the party. Yeah. Not a ridiculous little wristband. Like I want to stop there because like, how is that fair? How is that fair?
No,
right?
this is, I love the energy and I agree with you as somebody who likes to have souvenirs from everything.
Yes.
Every sheet of paper,
the ticket is
every
a souvenir.
ticket. Yeah, absolutely.
I have the coffee from my room for the 50th.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Donald in this show today. A lot of anger. I love it.
No, but like the literal ticket to the party is a necklace that lights up. It's the light up holiday bulbs, and then it has like the ticket in a little shape of a Mickey attached to it. So it's a full on lanyard that turns into its own piece of merch, essentially. Like, to me, that's just everything. And then you had the Muppets, you had the castle, which was looking fantastic. I mean, I say this every time, but there's just such a disparity between what Disneyland gets and what Disney World gets. And so every time I would try to make it to the Disneyland party. They do it right.
I would have loved to have done that, but A, it's on the West Coast, and B, like I said, they sold out. The Muppets, let's talk about that for a second, though. The Christmas caroling coach from the Muppets.
Yes.
This is freaking fantastic. I want to go to there. I want this to be a thing that's in the parks every day. I mean, I thought we had a neat opportunity when we had the great moments in history, and then they brought back last year, which, again, I'm not sure why they didn't do this year. The whole, like, the Muppets in the windows unfurling, like, the Christmas banners. That didn't seem like that was such a big deal to ask on this one. But, Coach, you pretty excited about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a coach, number one. Bad dad joke. No, it's definitely one of those things where this seems like a natural transition. It's something they could have done when they had the cavalcades. It's something they could have done. And again, back to the effort thing, right? With California, they've got a lot of people that go back and forth. They need to change it. They need to have overlays. They need to put the effort in. And what they don't realize is if a little, like Kamila said, having that type of little touch where it is an actual built-in souvenir, you're going to end up spending more money because you're going to go, oh, look, I already have this great thing. I'm sure in Chapek's eyes, the spreadsheet said they'll spend less money because they already have something. But this is something that's treasured. It's universally loved. The Muppets are awesome, and it was unbelievable. I mean, the clip was on the YouTube channel, and it was amazing. I mean, it really was something that was really cool, and I think Tom said it was his favorite part of the entire experience, which, from looking at the video, I would tend to agree with him. So, pretty awesome.
Patrick, Kamila says I've been scammed. Thoughts?
No, we've been scammed a lot. Like, it's not just the parties. There's been several. I paid for stupid Lightning Lane. I've been horrifically scammed, and I'm probably going to go back and let them do that to me again. They had the Muppets in Disneyland. Do you know why they have to do that stuff for Disneyland? They don't have to do it here because people come to Walt Disney World as a rite of passage. It's like, I gotta take the family to Disney World. That's what we have to do. You're miserable there. You talk about how high the prices are for everything. You do zero planning. You expect to walk into a restaurant because you just think you can walk into a restaurant. And people who go to Disneyland go there because they want to go to Disneyland. It's not because they have to. It's not quite a rite of passage. It's just you go to Disneyland. So they got to up their game there, and they do. And they get these amazing things like the Muppets singing Christmas carols. They have this Tokyo quality popcorn bucket. You get a lanyard with an actual hard ticket. See, the reason they were called hard ticketed events is you got an actual ticket for a very long time. But apparently wristbands are much cheaper. I'm surprised they don't give you like just a raffle ticket or something. It's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Why couldn't they do that here?
Here, let's look at it again.
It's so good.
So nice.
Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. No,
So nice.
yeah, it's nothing like
Really
lanyard
hang that on
envy.
your tree. You
Yeah.
literally hang that on your Christmas tree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that nice.
Good times.
People
Now,
do that with the Run
wait.
Disney stuff. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't do it with the hard ticket events, to Kamila's point. Like, why would you? Everyone has, if you look at, it's actually, Nick is creepy for a lot of reasons, but when you see all of his medals hanging on the wall, it creeps me out even more for some reason. But it's just like, he's got all these medals like behind him, and it's just like, I'm impressed, intimidated, and scared all at the same time. Like, wow, he ran all of those things. Like, it's amazing. But it's amazing because it's different every time. If it didn't matter, they would just have the same Run Disney logo. They'd print it off, and that would be it. And I think it's just a little touch that would make a huge difference. I mean, you go to any conference and professionally, you're going to get a different.
Yeah.
It's like you have them hanging in your, my office. I got 1 million of them hanging there. Like, oh, this guy must know what he's talking about. It's like all the books behind him, and But I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess it makes too much sense.
Well, and they advertise it as 6 different parties too during this event. There, one in each land basically that has a different theme. Tropical party in Adventureland.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, top to
That's
bottom.
awesome.
Yeah, top to bottom. This looks like it was
The
a great
effort.
event. So why, Kamila? Why only do 5?
Well, so I think it has to do with them finding nights where they can get away with holding the parties and closing the parks a little earlier. Disneyland is so crowded right now. Like I have friends who are there. I have clients who are there. I mean, honestly, I don't think they could get away with many more dates because the crowds are just way too high. They need the extra time in the parks. But Rob, can we show the popcorn bucket that is at Disneyland? Because I just want people to see this if they haven't, because if you weren't convinced that things are just better like over there on the West Coast, I think this will change some things, and maybe it will come to Disney World, but Disneyland got it first, and it's amazing.
Yeah, here is the popcorn bucket in question. Is this the one you're talking about?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, so
are
this
you kidding me?
Toy Story block popcorn bucket. And it says Happy Holidays on it, and it's got the Buzz Lightyear. It's got basically 2 action figures on it, plus he's putting the ball on the top, and then the ball lights up on it.
Yes.
This is
How great is that on,
like,
how great is that on a shelf? How
Exactly.
great is that on a shelf? That's the other thing. A lot of the
Exactly.
popcorn buckets you get, you're just kind of like, all right, I can never display this. This is the kind of thing you just put on a shelf and it has a second
And it
life.
looks like it belongs there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but let's move on to the next thing, because one of the coolest things to me about Disneyland for the holidays is the overlays that they do. So they do these cool overlays like Haunted Mansion Holiday, and they do the It's a Small World holiday, but apparently we have a little bit of problems with the It's a Small World holiday attraction, because as they drained the whole thing to then put all of the cool Christmas ornaments and things in it, apparently it then flooded when they put the water back in, and they had to delay opening on it. I mean, we've been kind of bragging on Disneyland for a little while here, Patrick.
Take that.
Yeah, what are we thinking?
I mean, this is just a larger portion of what's wrong with the company at this present time. Is like there's less skilled and less of these maintenance workers that a mistake like this can happen. I also feel like it was because there was crazy weather there during that time as well. I'm not positive. I know there's been some different fronts moving through, but like it's taken you this many days to fix it. It just feels like this isn't something that used to happen. It's bad show. It's bad show to have this closed then, and I imagine they're working around the clock, but like it needs to get done. There needs to be some veterans in the mix with all the new cheaply paid labor that they have.
Cheaply paid labor? That doesn't sound right.
It
Kamala?
is.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Patrick. It's unfortunate because I'm sure there were people who were excited to, see the overlay. When you go to Disneyland or Disney World this time of year, you are absolutely paying a premium. And so you would expect that something that is kind of a feature of, your holiday park showing, you would expect that it would be, ready to go and up and running. And of course we understand that things happen. It sounds like this was something that was beyond their control, but I feel like when you are in hospitality or when you are in the theme park industry, part of the preparation is, being prepared for anything. And so I just hope they can get it up and running quickly, but it really is disappointing.
Yeah. Brian?
It's Al's fault. That's my running joke. There's one maintenance guy named Al that runs around trying to fix everything, that knows what he's doing. And I think to Patrick's point, a lot of that experience that people have in any of their jobs prevents a lot of issues, right? They can see things proactively and say, hey, maybe we should look at that pipe. That pipe's kind of old. We haven't looked at it in a while. Maybe we should make sure. These types of things allow, it's like maintaining a car, right? Engines are expensive. Oil changes are cheap. So don't wait to get your oil changed. Get it done more frequently than less frequently, because oil's cheap and engines are expensive. And I think they've gone the exact opposite way on that. That's a free life lesson with Leighton, by the way, for you. Okay. But it's one of those things where I think it's an issue where they're not being proactive; they're being reactive. And
Yep.
No,
it's just another point of it.
Yeah, it's a good TED Talk. All right, so this though, like if you can see here, the difference between the Disneyland and the Disney World is this is a flume instead of the one in Disney World that's flooded. This is a flume. So what I guess I don't understand is if it's flooded, there's stuff, I don't know if you can see it, but there's space on either side of that flume. I don't understand how that would keep you from have like the possibility of opening this thing, but there are a lot of different things that they add for this. I mean, it is over the top now, and maybe it flooded and got into the electrical system and kept all these lights from happening or something. I don't know, but
can I just point out, this is the problem with boat rides.
Oh,
and so really, if we're looking for something to blame, okay,
well
imagine
done.
a small world train, okay, that just ran on a track, wouldn't have a flood. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Well done. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's like I teed that one up and you just drove it in wow. Yeah, that was
So what you're saying is that it's this is what happens when you vote for boats? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Just want to make sure I was...
You all did this.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. So we're talking about popcorn buckets, and so I've called this section snack merch because it's things that you have to get the snack to be able to get like the cool merch piece. And there is this really, I'm as excited about the popcorn bucket as you are, Kamila, but I'm more excited about this. A zero dog bowl? Like, first of all, they're feeding us out of a dog bowl. Okay, sure.
Cool.
Yeah, great. I'm here for it. But like this entire thing, which can be purchased only on the West Coast, I assume these things come to the East Coast later. But this burger looks great. The fries are great. But I just care about the bowl. Look at this bowl. The detail on it. Nightmare Before Christmas. It's got the little bone and the candy cane in the bottom of it. But like most things like this, I see this and I go, I almost want to get on a plane and fly and buy this because of how cool it is. At the same time, if it were sitting on a shelf with 900 other of these things at the Disney Store outlet, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. I would have walked right by it. Why is that, Patrick?
I think it's the feeling of exclusivity. Everybody wants to be part of a club. Everybody wants to be part of something. I mean, if you watch the Fyre Fest documentaries, you can see the true fault in that ways. And it's always nice to get a bonus, especially when we talk about feeling completely ripped off by the company that we really love. It's nice to say, hey, I'm getting a toy dog bowl, an actual dog bowl with my meal. It's like a little added something. It feels like a perk. It doesn't, but like you were saying, if you saw it World of Disney, you're not going to pick that up. I mean, I'm staring at the picture of the light up bottle topper right now. I'm like, that's so awesome. Yeah. And then what do you do when you get home? You just throw it in a drawer and it's there forever.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say I don't get the bottle topper thing because like
it's adorable. Look at it. It's so cute.
Yeah, I agree. It's adorable.
I mean, okay. All right. That one
I have last year's.
Well, now you need this year's because you have the whole set.
I do.
Yeah. So, Kamila, you have a bottle topper problem. Would you like to?
I literally, I use them. Like this is one that someone made, but I mean, I really do use them. So, like, no, you know what? I think what it is about these merch items that makes them so special and so unique and different is and like, don't kill me for this, but it's the IP. I mean, it's the way that Disney, takes our favorite stories and characters and, animated tales, and they find ways to immerse us in them. And so, then it's not just, this specialty dog bowl, right? It's, I just went on the Haunted Mansion holiday and I saw Zero and I saw, the Pumpkin King. And it just brings you back to that feeling. Like, I have the Millennium Falcon popcorn bucket, and I mean, it's one of my favorites. I proudly display it on my shelf that you can't see behind me. And like, it just brings me back to like, when I went to, Galaxy's Edge and when I was a Jedi, and I don't know, I really think it's the way that we're immersed into these worlds. Yep. See?
Must have.
Right? That's the thing. Is like, I see this stuff and I have to have it, and that, that goes back to this popcorn bucket, which,
so good.
God help you if you're the guy behind the counter. I buy this from you and you try to put popcorn in it. Over my dead body when you put popcorn in this popcorn bucket, right?
I was furious. I'm like, what are you doing? Popcorn doesn't go in there. Give me the little bucket on the side.
Yeah.
And poor Mickey. He's all popcorny now.
And it would smell like popcorn? That's horrible. And then like these Mickey Bell glow cubes that you can get in silver or gold.
Oh man, so good.
I mean,
so good.
Again, but this is all, I think this is all Disneyland stuff, so I'm just wondering, where is it right now in Disney World? Is this like a supply chain thing and they send it to the good park? I don't know what's happening here. I'm a little confused, because again, normally this stuff comes to both sides, to both parks. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen yet.
Chapek likes our Disneyland reporters a lot more than our Disney World reporters, so he's like, they can get all this good stuff. Make them take pictures of churros that aren't centered.
Coach, is there any symbolism that Chapek's making me eat out of a dog bowl?
You are definitely. I just saw it's just Coach. Nice. I think it's one of those things where it's. We are less than. Well, I gotta think about how to word this, so because we are on YouTube. It's one of those things where I think he's a kind of subliminally telling us, because if it was an AP exclusive thing, I would say it's definitely for the AP, just because I've always joked at AP there's a couple letters missing that what he thinks about us in the front of it. But I think it's interesting that people are excited about this. I'm judging you a little bit, Rob, because I don't know that we want to actively eat out of a dog bowl. It's a little bit. I mean, what does it say about the quality of the food? I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can go with this. They've really stepped up their game with the food and then put them in dog bowls for us.
Yep, so. I hear you. Move on. I got it. So the next one is the decor. This is an article I don't quite get. I'm going to need you to explain it to me, Patrick, in very small words, because I'm confused. So there was this article that said that the Disney World restaurants will not be decorated for Christmas again this year as COVID change becomes a budget cut. What restaurants did I not get to go to that used to be decked out for Christmas, Patrick? No, unmute. Go ahead and unmute first, and then take a deep breath.
Wow, it's been a while.
There you go.
I had to pour more seltzer into my cup, so I didn't want to hear that. I feel like I've been to a number of restaurants that decorate for the holidays. It's blanking me. It might be the amount of adult beverages I tend to imbibe while I'm in the parks.
Yes, yeah. Everybody knows that you have a problem.
Great, good. I'm glad we're doing this on YouTube in front of a live audience. That's how I always wanted my interview.
Everybody open your letters.
No, I think that this is like we played that game with budget, COVID, or JPEG, or something else.
Right.
And I think that they're using this as a way to save money. I think we have seen, but I'm failing to pick up anything concrete. But it feels... Yeah, go ahead. You do your thing.
Sorry, I literally was like trying to clear my throat. I'm pretty sure Be Our Guest usually does like huge decorations for the holidays. And so continuing on this theme of feeling scammed, I will be in Disney World in Magic Kingdom in December, and I have reservations for Be Our Guest. And although I'm still somewhat looking forward to going just because I'll be with people who have never been before, I'm disappointed that it won't be dressed up for the holidays, because they used to do a lot in Be Our Guest, and they would, I don't want to say completely transform, but it definitely felt like a winter wonderland, a holiday getaway inside the Beast Castle. And so I'm disappointed that it sounds like we're not going to get some of that decor. And, I want to say this, like, the restaurants in Disney World are expensive for what they are. It's not the most amazing food, you're ever going to have. I think tends to be much more about the experience, and it can be good too. But when you take away, I think, some of this type of decoration, it just feels like a missed opportunity. But I feel like the reality is they're probably not struggling to get people in these restaurants since reservations are so hard to come by. So they just know they can get away with it. So they did.
There's so much that they do, though, I feel like it's grown over the years what they decorate for Christmas. Now, granted, I'm not always there at Christmas, but, Hollywood Studios, corner to corner, is usually decked out for Christmas. The stuff that they added to Toy Story Land and the Sunset Season's Greetings, and they really do, I think, an amazing job to the Santa Gertie hat, all of that for Hollywood Studios. Magic Kingdom, it seems like it's mostly just a Main Street thing. Animal Kingdom, I think they've done a great job at decorating. Epcot, of course, they go over the top for the Festival of the Holidays. But the hotels, they do a ton of decorating, and the gingerbread thing is spread from one place to the other. I mean, to me, that's a lot of stuff already that they're doing for the holidays. Obviously, you said, though, Kamila, you do pay a premium when you're going at this time of year. So you really there should be something above and beyond. I just don't remember, and maybe I just don't go to the nice restaurants. Maybe Casey's Corner doesn't do it up like, Victoria and Albert's does. I don't know. But, I mean, I'm not really sure where I'm missing out on that. But I guess I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's talk about a place that is decorated for the holidays, though. And by the way, you said you have reservations about Be Our Guest or for Be Our Guest?
For Be Our Guest.
Okay, great. So let's talk about Animal Kingdom for a second, because I do think that the offerings at Animal Kingdom that they've added are pretty cool. They've got these flotillas, which is a word I didn't know, and I still feel like Disney made up. That they have instead of cavalcades with all the characters on them, which are cool. But then they also have this. The Merry Menagerie is back, and man, that was a neat thing. And I think all of us who have seen it in the past have gone above and beyond talking about this one. And Coach, you're going to get to go see this when you go down there. Is this the thing that you're the most excited about seeing? Are you even going to go to Animal Kingdom, though?
No, we are. We're actually going to stay one night at Animal Kingdom Lodge while we're there, as it's my son's favorite place to stay. But it's exciting that it's weird how certain parks sort of seem like they put in the effort, and other parks they don't. So it's kind of, I think it comes down to a supply issue, kind of like what Kamila said. Unfortunately, perceived value is not something you can measure on a spreadsheet, and I think they're just running through the demand right now. And my question is, after this 50th celebration ends, where's all this demand going to come from? And so that it's exciting. The Merry Menagerie stuff I've never been able to see. I'm excited about it. I think it's something that my kids will really enjoy. And I thought Flotilla was like some sort of a value menu that Taco Bell ran at one point, but apparently it's just what the boats are called at Disney World. So I was like, I thought that was a thing. Maybe it was a flotilla. I don't know. But
yeah. Well, Kamila's an expert on boats. Kamila?
All we need is like some type of Christmas themed kite tails show, and like Animal Kingdom will be perfect. No, in all seriousness, I think the touches that they have for Animal Kingdom I like that they're perfect for the park. And they're still so festive. Like, I think it's really, really well done, and I'm excited to see it in December.
Well, and then they also have this, the Tree of Life Awakening show is made into a holiday version. The Holiday Tree of Life Awakenings, I guess, is the name of it. But, this to me is a very cool addition that they've done to Animal Kingdom in general. Just the fact that they've taken advantage of the projection mapping to put on the tree. So they've got the beacon show, they've got the regular Tree of Life Awakenings, and now the holiday one. Patrick, did you get to see any of this stuff starting when you were there? I'm not even sure how much time
I started
did you spend?
seeing the decorations. I didn't see any of it. I really wanted to see Menagerie. It was something that everybody on the networks talked about, so I wanted to see it in person. Never got a chance to get out there, but Kamila is correct. Like, Animal Kingdom does it up for the holidays. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy the flotilla. Now I can't say it. Flotilla.
The tortillas are fantastic.
Yeah. No, it's
hot
really
sauce.
awesome. Like, it's when we get to the discussion topic a little bit later on, I'm going to talk about that because it's an area that isn't widely used, and it's good to see characters in different costumes being out there. A holiday kite tail sounds like a wonderful idea. It can crash into the audience in the most festive way possible.
Y'all are haters. Kite tails is great. So let's move over to the studios. And like I said, the studios feels like it's become like Holiday Central, and I think that was because they had to make up for what we lost with the Osborne family lights leaving. So when they got rid of those and they were decorating the place, you get Echo Lake has all the big huge ornaments in the water, and you've got Gertie has the Santa hat on, and then all the stuff that you see down Hollywood Boulevard, down Sunset Boulevard. It is really neat to see. I'm still waiting on though the Life Day decorations. So we have food in Disneyland. I don't know that it's come to Disney World yet in Batuu for Life Day, which is something that Desi talked about on last week's show, is like, we need more Life Day stuff. They've actually got Life Day snacks in Disneyland now, which is the Star Wars Christmas, basically. It seems like there should be some more decoration and things that would happen in Batuu, and I feel like that was on the list, that and Pandora at some point, and I think that maybe going into like COVID, they were like, maybe we need to put a pause on that. But the other thing that they have is they've got an added holiday finale that they do for the Frozen sing-along, which, by the way, I like the Frozen sing-along. I think it was always hard to get my kids to do it. It's like, you know what? You guys do something else. Daddy's going to watch the sing-along. But they've added this, which is something they certainly didn't have to do. I think the show usually fills up pretty well, but and is kind of a fan favorite. But they didn't have to add this. But that's the kind of thing that I like to see when they just add a scene or something to something like this. Has anybody seen it? Kamila, have you seen this?
I've seen the non-holiday version of the show, and I agree, it's surprisingly fun. It'd be cool to see a holiday overlay for the Muppets 3D show. Like, I think that would be a lot of fun, and it doesn't feel like that would be so difficult to do. Just create a holiday version of that show. I think the studios, like, I feel like you get a really nice feel of like just Christmas being in there, but I don't know that I think, but I kind of agree. I don't know that I think besides kind of some of the decorations and some of the main areas, I feel like that's where a lot of it comes into play, but I feel like they could find ways to do more, just, based on what I've seen so far this year.
Well, I mean, they also have this. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, they have Santa in a convertible. I mean, that's
sponsored by Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Yeah, there you go. And then they also have this is the Life Day food I was talking about earlier. So, but again, this is in Disneyland. I'm not sure if this is coming to Disney World or not, but it should.
It's not. Why do we kid ourselves? It's not.
All right, go on.
No, this whole episode has been talking about how much better Disneyland has been at getting merchandise, at getting special foods, at doing parties. And we're just like, please, sir, may I have some more Lightning Lane? And it's just like, show some respect to Florida. There's 4 parks. There's enough love to spread it around. You're eventually going to have the Star Wars Hotel there. You got to start thinking about these things and play testing stuff like Life Day menus. See if it, really increases capacity. Stuff you got to think about.
Yeah, I guess so. Coach?
Oh, Patrick's talking about being proactive. We don't do that anymore. No, I think it doesn't make sense to me when you have something like Star Wars Life Day where clearly people are going to go nuts about it and the fan base is excited about things. And another missed opportunity. It's too bad. Again, it seems like what do we have? What's the least we can do to get away with things? And unfortunately, eventually people are going to be like, nope, not coming anymore, or they're only going to go once and leave and never come back yearly. So it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff there they could be doing. It just seems like, what were we thinking here?
Although I'm excited about Life Day, this does look like two handfuls of garbage. I mean, come on. Like, I heard it's amazingly delicious, but it doesn't look pretty. I mean, does it?
No.
But if it's good, that's what matters.
Does this look pretty?
No.
No. It's all about presentation.
Wait a minute, did they put a whole leek in there? Is that just an entire leek right there? Yep.
Sure. That's what that is. Yeah, the review of this one says, celebrates Life Day with pork broth noodles that missed the mark at Disneyland. Missed the mark. Oh, well. So something else that I've missed is the Epcot Candlelight Processional. And obviously the Candlelight Processional is a tradition that started at Disneyland back in the day. When they did Epcot, it's something that started Epcot at the theater in America. I think it's very cool. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before. I think we've talked about it in the past. I've seen Joe Morgan and Cal Ripken Jr. I mean, those guys should hang out more often, by the way, I think. But they've announced all of the narrators for this year, and the voice of Moana, Cheetah Rivera, that's the one people have been clamoring for, maybe? I don't know. Jodie Benson, so you've got, the voice of the Little Mermaid as well. Bart Millard. I mean, who's not excited about Bart Millard, right? Raise your hand. Don't start Googling it, Patrick, because I see you. He was the lead singer of Mercy Me that sang I Can Only Imagine. Yeah, Andy Garcia, Anna Gasteyer. I could see your eyes, dude. I knew you were Googling it. Stop it. Courtney B. Vance, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Blair Underwood, and Pat Sajak. There you go. There's your lineup. I think NPH was
no
super
NPH.
Fan. NPH is the one I wanted to see, Patrick. Have you ever had the pleasure?
I have not had the pleasure. We've been there during Rex the Halls when he was the narrator, but I did not get tickets to it. So I missed out on that. I saw Jodie Benson, and it was amazing. And for my wife, who is not Christian, even hearing the very religious version of the story, she was moved. So it's a great thing. It's beautiful, and I really wish this is kind of a blah roster here. I mean, the voice of Moana is amazing. Getting Jodie Benson, Cheetah Rivera, who people seem really excited about. Andy Garcia is a weird one. Anna Gasteyer, I mean, I'm a big fan of Anna Gasteyer, but it's underwhelming, a little underwhelming, especially when we're going to talk a little bit later about Disney Plus and all the stuff they're doing for that. Man, you have a roster of people that you should just be plucking from and putting it in their contracts for their Monsters at Work show that they have to come and do a Candlelight Processional.
Yeah. What do you think of the lineup, Kamila?
Yeah, I agree. I think it feels like there's opportunity that they could find people where even if they weren't necessarily household names, once we knew, kind of more like, oh, it's the voice of Moana. It just kind of is more interesting. Blair Underwood stands out to me as one where it's why? Is it because he maybe has a recognizable voice? I don't know. I would like to see them be a little bit creative. Even if they're struggling for whatever reason to get maybe some big names like some Neil Patrick Harris, maybe find some people that we would be interested in because of what they've done or, what they're the voice of or just something else. At the same time, though, I'm probably not someone who would, make my trip around being able to attend the Candlelight Processional as much as I hope to be able to maybe catch some glimpses of it. I'm much more interested in I'm much more interested in waiting on the menu to come out for the International Festival of Lights.
Okay. Coach, are you going to the Candlelight Processional when you go down? Because nothing kids like more than sitting, especially if you have small children, through basically a church session in the happiest place on earth, or most magical place on earth.
I mean, as a matter of fact, we do have tickets. No, we don't. We're going out for too short of a time, but I think it's one of those things. Another missed opportunity where Pat Sajak is a super fan, right? And obviously involved with Muppets and everything. But you have other celebrities that maybe aren't necessarily A-list celebrities. There's a lot of people right now that are looking for work. There's a lot of performers that are looking for gigs right now. You could tap into those people that are Disney super fans, sort of throw it out there, and then that opens an entire different market of those people that are fans of those actors and actresses that then maybe get exposed to Disney like they never have before. And again, seems like a pretty logical thing to do, but we got Blair Underwood because of his sultry tones. I mean, I get it, but there are other things that you can do. He's not, he's not Morgan Freeman.
There have to be members of NSYNC
Agree.
who are not very Disney.
I mean,
98 Degrees. Like, can we get a Lachey?
Yeah.
I'll take a Drew. I don't need a Nick.
Lance Bass.
True.
Joey Fatone, I feel like, is usually available.
Yeah, but he just sold his house in Orlando, so he's not close anymore. His house was amazing. I don't know if anybody saw that on Zillow. He is a super fan.
Well, I mean, you could probably do Joey Fatone, couldn't you?
Joey Fatone played my best friend in a movie that I am not at liberty to discuss here because it's not appropriate, but there's my Joey Fatone connection. Maybe if you're a wig, I can give you that information.
There you go.
Yeah.
Teaser.
Okay. And then finally there was this cool news that they're going to be doing this the culturally diverse Santa. And the cool thing is that I was talking to somebody who is in kind of like with the show production, talking about Santa is whoever the spirit is for you. And I think that that's kind of cool that they're putting that together for the parks. I mean, it really is. They've seen, like, they kind of started this out with cast members, and seeing the reaction of some of the cast members has just been very moving, I feel like. Kamila, you're nodding your head down here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, already, I was actually just watching video a little bit earlier today of like how at Disneyland, they had, I don't even know what it was. Like, I want to say it was like a mariachi type celebration, something that they had over at DCA, but they had full performers and music. And then there was like this giant float, but it was like, maybe it was for Day of the Dead. I don't know. I apologize if I'm getting it wrong, but it just like seeing so many people and how excited they were about it. Like, I think that's so wonderful. And so, I agree. I think, for so many of us, Santa can look different. Your holidays can look different. And so I hope Disney kind of finds unique ways to continue this trend. Not everyone celebrates Christmas. And, what I love about Epcot specifically is you can kind of walk around the world and see what, the holidays are like in Norway, see what they're like in India. Like, I want to know what they do all over. I think that's so fun. And I want to try the food. Don't forget the food. But, I mean, I love it. Let's do it all.
Yeah. Patrick?
And speaking of the food real quickly, can we get like somebody's actual bubby to come in there and make some of the Jewish food? Because as marrying into a Jewish family and then having to suffer through what the food was at that booth was a nightmare. Like, get a bubby, get her in the kitchen, and let her do her thing. Don't bring that weak sauce over here.
That's right.
That weak sauce. Wow. Okay.
This is one of those things that, like, there are a lot of things that are being changes that are being made for culture sensitivity that should have been made a long time ago. And then there are other ones where everyone kind of just goes, is anybody actually offended by that? This is one of these things that was a long time coming, and I think sparks a lot of good conversation. If you have, children or things, and they're going to have that conversation and go, Daddy or Mommy, what's that all about? Exposing them to different types of things is what makes, like Kamila said, Epcot so awesome. Have those conversations with your kids. Mm-hmm. Other things, you kind of scratch your head and you're like, that's a sign. This is something that I think is really sort of kind of like, everybody's like, kind of like, of course. I don't know that there's some people that are going to be offended by it, but I think that they're going to be offended by anything at that point. So
what I'm offended about, Coach, is you said if you have children or things. What did you mean by things?
Both children and things.
Children and
you can
things.
Have usually when you have children with things. So
okay, got you.
I take my droid to the parks, so I have a special backpack for it.
So children and things.
You can have
your droid.
That's my thing.
Your droid will celebrate Life Day.
A shoulder pet, if you will. A shoulder pet. If you will.
That's right.
I want to get a Santa hat for my droid.
Okay. All right. Well, we're running behind. we're running behind. We're going to take a quick commercial break, come back and run through some Disney Park news, so don't go anywhere.
WDW News Tonight is our weekly comedy show combining the news of the week, comedy segments, thoughtful discussions, insane characters, parody commercials, games, and more. Watch live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and become a Wigs member to get access to a bonus post show. Watch WDW News Tonight episodes anytime and live on YouTube, or get the audio-only version on iTunes and other podcast services.
Welcome to Unplanned Downtime, a new home for creative, innovative, and outlandish programming made for Disney fans, including Cosmic Read Live, discussions and Imagineering attractions, Deep in the Plus, reviewing the catalog on Disney Plus, Ink and Paint, celebrating female voices in the Disney fandom, Boxed In, opening mystery packages and viewer mail, Picky Eaters, trying to eat our way across Disney restaurants, WDW TV RPG, a tabletop adventure set in Tokyo Disney Sea, and more of your favorites. Subscribe now at unplanneddowntime.com. Remember, it's not an accident, it's unplanned downtime.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Again, if you were watching and if you could give us a thumbs up, it would really help people to find the show. Definitely chat along with us in the chat. And, you know, back to Disney news. So we talked all about Christmas, and we want to go around the hub, trademark Patrick Hackett, and talk about a couple things, including the earnings call. Boy, howdy. There were a couple things that came up during the earnings call. One is that they're not spending as much in the parks this year. One is that they are, I know, Patrick, you look shocked about that. Did you want to talk specifically about that, or should we go on?
No, keep going. We'll get to it.
One is that Disney Plus is not growing, is still growing, but not quite at the rate that they had hoped it would. And then there was this one quote where they were talking about doing some cost savings. So I'm looking specifically for the quote because I feel like I need to read it out loud to do it justice. So bear with me for just one moment, please. I should have had that already.
It's important to know that it's a real quote and not something that we wrote for WWE NT.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Because I was like, really... wow, that's a really funny tweet, Tom. Oh, wait,
yeah,
that's real.
It was real. It was real. So last week they had the earnings call, and the thing that was talked about was the chief financial officer of the company, which, by the way, that's not good. Let's not do that. The chief financial officer of the company said that they would reduce portion sizes for guests to increase profits, but the line says we can cut portion size, which is probably good for some people's waistlines. Patrick, are they calling me fat? Is that what they're doing here?
I mean, I certainly feel like I've been called fat by the CFO of Disney, which is not a sentence I thought I'd ever say. Portion size is a big problem, but this just continues to show how completely out of touch the leadership of this company is. Number one, a number of restaurants are all you care to enjoy, so the portion size doesn't matter there. We should cut portion size. It's important. But throwing it in people's faces like that isn't going to get the exact reaction you're looking for. You also shouldn't be saying you're doing stuff like that to increase profits when your profits have been incredibly high. We want to talk about the maintenance of the parks and not spending on the parks. There has been so many things that is incredibly poor show. One of the keys that is the foundation of the Walt Disney Company and these parks, the show is out of it. Why did they take down the Mickey PhilharMagic sign and just leave it up there without a scrim? That's absurd. That doesn't cost any money. You want to talk about proactive, like we've been saying, even the reactive stuff isn't working. It's a nightmare out there, and it's clear that it is a data and bottom line driven company. And to some extent, some of us always knew that. We knew that, but we have nostalgia, we have care for the company. but they're just throwing it in our face. And every time I spend money, I'm like, I really, really shouldn't spend money here.
The thing that bothers me the most about it, yeah, the waistline thing is whatever. I mean, that seems like a let them eat cake sort of a line. But the part that bothers me about it is coming out and saying to the public, we need to save money, so we're going to take your portion sizes down. That to me is horrible. Like, do it when I don't know it, and maybe you're doing it for my own good. Come out and say that, and now you're just saying it because you're like, oh, we need to save money, so you're going to pay the exact same amount of money. Don't worry, we're not going to raise your price. We're just going to give you less. What? That's insane.
Is there
or actually, all right, I feel like
no,
this has triggered Coach.
I feel like sometimes when we have these earnings calls, it's almost like we accidentally got a Zoom link and we zoomed into it, and we're not supposed to be hearing what they're saying. Like, it's the pre-meeting where we're gonna like put it through the, it's amazing to me that, like, you said this out loud and you thought this was a good idea, and you didn't think it with everything that's going on in Walt Disney World right now, with all the stuff that we're trying to quote unquote fix and make culturally more sensitive, you just literally called all of your guests fat. You know, like the festival you have where you sell tons of food, and the special offerings that you have for tons of food, and the all you care to enjoy restaurants. Like, I half expected sort of, and this is, to me, this is a great WWNT commercial, that they have, like, now introducing the Walt Disney World Fitbit will allow you to burn calories while you walk through the park. Like, that's what I was half waiting for. Like, is this going to, like, launch a division of the Magic Band where it counts your calories for you and gives you, like, a meal plan?
They're going to start auto-enrolling you and run Disney races if you eat too much.
Oh, that's what the tram was all about. It's about us being fat. Now it all makes sense. Full circle.
Yep, Kamala.
Yeah, I mean, what's so unfortunate about that is, like, the decision could have been based in something more meaningful. Like, maybe they were noticing that there was a lot of waste, right? There was a lot of food that was going uneaten. And so, they could have said, we're noticing that, so we're going to try to, cut down this way. But instead, they said it in a way that was just really poorly said, and I don't know. I feel like I want to hope and believe that the intent was not anything, malicious, but I don't know. I mean, just to let something like that kind of slip out is really unfortunate. What stood out to me, though, on this earnings call, a couple of things that I thought were really interesting, and some of this was news I had saw before, but the fact that in Disneyland, the Dream Key is completely sold out, and that was the most expensive one. So you can't even buy it anymore. Like, I thought that was very interesting. And like what the screen says, the fact that 40% of Magic Key holders are new pass holders. So, I think it just kind of speaks to how much demand there has been for Disneyland and Disney World and the Disney brand. And I think what the earnings really show is that Disney found a way to take advantage of that. Profits were up, partially because they raised prices. But they raised prices and had no problem, still selling out of things like the expensive Dream Key, like their resorts where, costs have just continued to soar. I know people personally who have, recently come back from the parks after using Genie Plus, and they appreciated having it. So, in a weird way, Disney is getting a lot of things that they want. And the question, I think, is how long can it really last? Because I do feel like they have benefited from a lot of pent-up demand. We've been at home for the better part of a year. People were ready to get out. Disney was a fun, easy way to do that. I don't know that in a couple of years, when we can travel internationally again, that you can get away with some of these prices. But we'll see.
That's a good point. Like, traveling internationally, part of what they said in the earnings call is that the international visitors is down, clearly. But the fact that we can't really go anywhere has got to be, like, weighing on our decision to go to Disney over and over again. There were a lot of things that they said in this call, like the fact that, as you kind of mentioned, the people are happy with the Genie service, which is disappointing to me. 33% of Walt Disney guests upgrade to Genie Plus, and then that the spending at Walt Disney World has increased by 30%. Like you said, the Magic Keys, 40% are sold to new pass holders. So there's a lot in that says to me that they're making money. And so when I look at all those numbers, I'm like, great. let's start construction again on Tron. Let's start, let's like really up the construction deadlines on these things and get these things done faster, because you've got obviously more people are spending more money than ever to be in your parks. You should be doing more for them in return. But it's almost like we give you $2, you're going to give us a quarter back. I mean, it seems very unfair that when you look at the numbers as they are, and their purpose for this earnings call is to talk to their shareholders and go, guys, things are good. So we're hearing that, but then again, at the same time, they're not really doing what they need to do. One question I have about this, Kamila, when you were talking about the Magic Key and 40% the sales are to new pass holders, what I'm wondering is it because they actually advertised the pass holder program for a change? Like in the past, I feel like it wasn't really one of those things they were advertising because it didn't work in their favor. You knew about it and you bought a pass, but I don't think that like the average Joe probably was like, oh, I can get a pass. How much is it? What's it all about? Could it possibly be this relaunch that made the new interest, or what would be the other reason?
It's a good question. I would be really curious to hear from someone that is a first-time pass holder. I just felt like the thing that I have noticed the most in the past 12, 16 months with Disney, both Disney World and Disneyland, is there has just been extraordinary demand to get back to the parks. Even families that, weren't necessarily Disney families and hadn't been in a very long time were booking trips, even if it was just weekend trips over to Disneyland. And so, I wonder if truly just I think people had just been cooped up in their house, and for whatever reason, a lot of people latched onto this idea of going to the parks and Disney, and we were watching these live streams while for some of us, we were in, cities and towns that were still closed. And so I really think they just benefited a lot. And I'd be curious to compare like what the annual pass holder numbers looked like in Disney World. But I think in California, which was locked down for even longer than a lot of the rest of the country, I just think it was a symbol of like, this is something that I can do. This is a way for me to spend my money. And so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it was just California people that can take advantage of monthly payments.
Okay. Let's move on to the next thing then. Disney Plus Day. A lot of people, this was another kind of point of contention because a lot of people said, hey, Disney Plus Day, which was last Friday, they did a lot of stuff in the parks. They released a lot of information about upcoming Disney, Plus projects and kind of teased a little bit of the future. They released a whole bunch of things on the 12th, and we're going to talk a little bit about that on Deep in the Plus this week. So if you can join us on that, Patrick will be on that panel, and we're going to kind of go through all the stuff that dropped, all the stuff that's coming, and even the stuff that happened in the parks and at AMC theaters. So it was a big day in general, but I've heard a lot of rumblings in the park community. They're like, you really did it all up for Disney Plus Day, but you didn't do jack for October 1st, 2021 during Walt Disney World's 50th. And so, Coach, I see you nodding your head back and forth about that. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think this goes back to a little bit to the earnings call, right? You have an earnings call where they said the membership is not as high and the growth isn't as what they expected. Well, number one, people aren't stuck in their house anymore, so let's use our brains on that one. And number two, they obviously feel like their future profitability and their money is going to come from Disney Plus. So they want to make it special to have Disney Plus, and this is where they're putting their effort. And to me, talk is cheap, actions speak, and they're showing everyone that they care more about their streaming service than they do about their parks. I mean, they're openly saying it in front of us. They're not trying to hide it. As a matter of fact, they're icing their shoulders because they're patting themselves on the back so much as they're going through the process of just how great a job they're doing. And all of us and anybody that's watching this show right now is just irritated and annoyed. Like, are we going to get Tron? Are you going to literally debut Tron a day before the 18-month year-long celebration happens? Like, what is does it though?
That's how it
does it? And then it ends up being not running the only day that it's open. But for $11 you can ride it. So I don't know. I think they've always kind of tiptoed around the fact that they weren't spending money on the parks. Now they're just like announcing it and like standing there up front and it's like, look at what we're doing, aren't we great? And everybody's like, no, you're not. So just a thought.
Patrick.
I love Rob, I think you and I talked about this. Like, Limited Time Magic was one of my favorite promotions that they've done. Having different characters, different little events. I mean, the extra Disney Day for Leap Day, stuff like that, man, that gets me. I enjoy it. And I think doing a Disney Plus Day is a great idea. I love, like, characters that you don't usually get to see, although I'm really disappointed you waited till a few days after I left and my daughter didn't get to see Moana. But I know you did that on purpose, Bob C. I know you did. The real truth of it is that we should have a lot more going on for the 50th. Yeah, it's an 18-month celebration, but that one day is the one day. And when Coach said that, they're going to roll Tron out 3 days before the end of the 18 months, it's going to be the close. That's what it is. It's like, and after the 18 months, here's Tron, and here's your railroad bag. It's $50 to ride the railroad.
Dude, you need a timeout. This is not accurate.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
So some of the stuff that they did for Disney Plus Day is that they actually made Spaceship Earth blue, which is kind of cool, like a Disney Plus blue. Cool. And then they also had the characters that you're talking about. So these like character meet and greets that, like you were talking about, Patrick, Moana, Tiana in her flapper dress. You have the kids from Up, and then you have Darth Vader and the Stormtrooper. So they had these. Not only were they doing these, I guess we call them sightings now, but then they also had a cavalcade. But the cavalcade really was basically your normal cavalcade plus Tiana, I think is what this was. But they had this big banner that they did before and after the show I'm looking for here. There it is right there, like with the Disney Plus Day, and look how happy everybody is that they got to do that. And people got a hat when they came in for Disney Plus Day and a button, and I'm jealous of that. And yet people were like, oh, it's a garbage hat. Well, it was a free hat. You didn't pay for that. I mean, or I'm sorry, it was complimentary. But it was one of those things where, like, I thought that was pretty cool that they went all out for the Disney Plus Day, and there's that synergy that I don't think that they do enough of when it comes to Disney Plus in the parks. I really think there should be more of it. And even though this is a celebration of Disney Plus Day, people in Disneyland and Disney World got, that, what do they call it, surprise and delight. They got things they weren't necessarily expecting to get when they walked in the door that day. And they have to make a lot of noise all in one day, too. That's why it was all, like, at once for that day, as opposed to Disney World where, yeah, you know what, they did a poster, which was a really nice poster, and in our auction sold for a lot of money. For people who were there that day. They did a nice park map, which was really cool. Well, they didn't do buttons. I wish they had done a button. Some people said they had them, but only had a limited amount. They didn't do any in-park merch. Now, Disney World did 50th anniversary merch that was exclusive to that day. So I would argue the opposite. I think that this was a completely different branch of money that they were spending as opposed to what they were already spending on the 50th. I think the 50th has been, to me, more than I expected. But I'm going to throw this to Kamila for some thoughts.
I wonder if they did more of a Disney Plus Day celebration as a way to kind of like promote it and, let everyone know from this day forth, November 12th is Disney Plus Day. But I like these kind of little days. It kind of reminds me of like May the 4th, right? With like Star Wars Day. I think those are really fun. And I think it must be so fun to be at the parks on these days. And especially if, you're walking into Hollywood Studios or Epcot and you got these special items that you weren't expecting and, you're maybe not even a Disney Plus subscriber. The only part that's a little bit disappointing is, for those of us who actually do subscribe to Disney Plus, I don't feel like I got anything special to celebrate, my day. So it would have been nice if they had figured something out.
No, I agree with you on that. It's kind of like, shut it. It'd be one of those things though where, if I go into DirecTV, you see people who are like, oh, you get 82 months of free HBO Plus Max, and you get the the NFL package, and you get all this other stuff. Yeah. Oh, you've been a loyal customer? Just keep paying us, And I mean, not to say that I didn't get a deal when I came into DirecTV, and not to say I didn't get a deal when I came into Disney Plus. I got it at D23. It was a 3-year locked-in price, so it was a low price. I got a little pin. all that stuff was great. But I agree with you. It's like, they should have sent us a magnet or something to say, hey, look, thanks for being a Disney Plus subscriber since day one or whatever. I do think the content was pretty good, though.
And I will say, yeah, I mean, we got certainly some really exciting trailers that I know we will dive into on Deep in the Plus. But I will say this is kind of when you miss having Disney stores in, major towns and cities, because you could have had little parties there. And that used to be so fun when the Disney stores would have, special previews or events for, new movies or different things happening. So that's when you really miss it.
That's a good point, though. Even on Shop Disney, they didn't really do much of anything. They should have done a key or a button with every purchase for the day or something like that.
I'm surprised they didn't do some sort of sign up, free sign up for the first month and then get it after that. Another life lesson for you, Rob. If you feel like you're paying too much for a subscription service, if you call them up and tell them you're going to cancel, 99 times out of 100, they're going to give you a deal that they're offering to everybody else. So that's a freebie for you.
No, I've done that in the past. I've done that in the past. I called DirecTV and said, hey, look, I'm going to cancel. And they're like, oh, we can give you NFL package again. And I'm like, okay, one more year, guys. One more year. But eventually
this is how I feel we all act with the parks. It's like, all right, that's pretty terrible, Bob, because we blame everything on him. There's probably other people who are at fault, but it's his fault. And I'm not coming back next year. And then the next year I'm back. I already booked my next trip. Before we even took off, we had our next trip planned. Yep. No.
Sucker.
That's why their earnings were so good.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Patrick? Going back to the earnings thing, though, real quick, you were part of the problem. A lot of your friends were like, "Oh, I'm happy to pay the extra money to ride the ride." I was like, "What are you doing? You're killing it."
I mean, those two guys are single guys with no kids, so they're just paying for themselves.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. So let's lightning lane ourselves through this last couple to catch up a little bit. The Coco scene was added to PhilharMagic. PhilharMagic reopened with this new Donald Duck is Coach's spirit animal. But they added the Coco scene. I can't wait to see it in the full surround. I've seen the Disneyland version, and it's just the screen. I mean, you just don't know until you see both, how limiting that one is in Disneyland versus the one at Disney World. So can't wait to see Coco full screen and then in its digital form. That's going to be cool.
I'll report out for you, Rob. I'm so excited about this.
You're going to go see it. That's right.
Very soon I will be there. I'm very excited about this.
Okay.
More excited than I should be, probably, but I'm
no way.
About it.
It's one of my favorite attractions. They added something new to it, and I was so hopeful that it would have been there. It was promised to be there when I got there, but again, I feel this is another personal attack by the CEO of the company against me, a lowly YouTube commentator.
Is that what you are? Yeah.
I don't know what I am, man.
All right,
Bad
Coach.
bowler.
Coach, what is it you love about PhilharMagic?
Well, it's a great ride. I mean, first of all, it's an attraction, not a ride, but it's first of all, it's usually when we go in the summer, it's 1,000 degrees, so you get in a nice air-conditioned theater. I have young kids. It's hysterical. I happen to think Donald is horrifically underutilized in the parks as the second most popular Disney character. They have really sort of kind of shied away from him, which I think is a major mistake. My kids love it, and I think it's one of those things where anytime we can add to a ride and make it longer, I'm generally excited about that. When it's not the wait times and it's the actual attraction itself, I'm a big fan of that.
Okay. Kamila?
Yeah, so I've seen the Disneyland version, and I love PhilharMagic in general. It's one of those attractions where, for most of us, our love of Disney started with Disney characters and Disney animation, and so, PhilharMagic takes you through so many of the classics, so many of our favorites, our favorite songs, our favorite characters. And so I'm also excited to see the new Coco scene in December. I've seen the one at Disneyland, and it's lovely, so I can't wait to see it with an even better view.
Very cool. One last thing I want to talk about here is the Guardians of the Galaxy. The blueprints for the... Gosh, this attraction is taking so long to come into fruition. The Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot, the part of the ongoing devastation of Epcot and in the war zone that is Epcot. They have this Guardians of the Galaxy layout of what the show building is going to look like, what the track's going to look like. All of this stuff is on our website, wdwnt.com. But it's really, I mean, it's cool to see this, but like, when is this freaking ride coming? Like, Patrick, this was the first time you'd been there in a while. Were you shocked at how many walls were up at Epcot?
I was astonished at how many walls were up at Epcot. It was just not the park that I was used to. It was so confusing to get around the parks, and then all of a sudden I looked and I'm like, there isn't supposed to be a walkway here, and I'm like, oh god, that's Interventions. From what I've heard, from what I have heard from my sources outside of this network, is that the work is going on inside continually, and that the attraction is a lot closer to done than we know. So I hope that's the truth. They're doing a heck of a job botching up the outside, though, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it really, I mean, it's been so long, and we've been waiting. Like, we have reporters that go out every day to look for the ship that's going to be put in front of the thing, and it's like, is it there yet? Nope. Okay. Is it there yet? When's it going to be there? Oh, I think they put down footings. It's coming soon. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it feels like all this stuff, to Coach's point earlier about Tron, should have all been done for the 50th, and the parks were closed. They had plenty of time to do it according to the earnings thing. They can't make, I mean, they can't not make money. They're just making too much money, and they should be building these attractions that they promised a long time ago. So
Al's one guy, Rob. Al's only one guy. He can only be one place at a time. You know?
He is. He's only one guy. You're right, man. I'm so sorry. So speaking of Al and things, we're going to be continuing our Lost Disney World segment. We're going to talk about Animal Kingdom and some of the things that we missed from Animal Kingdom that are gone. We'll be talking about that next. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside and a panel of Disney superfans as they take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog, tell you its history, details, give their review, and let you know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes. Or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube at unplanneddowntime.com.
Chomp at your neighbors.
Hold for Mr. Corliss. Hey, Tom.
Killed Nick Wilde, and I'm wearing him on my head for warmth.
Oh! Oh, no!
Mickey is giant. Oh, it's time for your favorite. Cups.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. In this back end, we're going to be talking about pressing issues. Usually we pick a topic, and this time we've been talking about Lost Disney World. It's 50 years of Walt Disney World, and there are so many things that have come and gone over that time. Some things that we are very sad to see go, and they make room for new things, which is bittersweet, and some things that we didn't get a chance to see and we wish we had, and then other things that were like, oh, you know what, it was about time that went, Stitch. And so there are a lot of things for Animal Kingdom, even though it's one of the youngest parks. It came out in, obviously it opened in 1998. It's amazing the amount of things that have changed since then. And I'm not even talking about things that were supposed to be there, like the Beastly Kingdom. I'm talking about things that were actually there that are gone now. And again, I mean, it's 20 plus years that the park has been there. You would think that all of that stuff would have the staying power. But we want to talk a little bit about kind of some of our favorite things that have left, again, in kind of honor of the 50 years of magic that we're experiencing with Walt Disney World. So I want to start, Patrick, with you. I asked everybody to kind of pick one thing that they miss from Animal Kingdom. And did you come up with something, Patrick?
Of course.
Okay.
I think Animal Kingdom is a criminally underrated park. I think the fact that it's the hottest park is completely fabricated. And I think we did like a scientific tracking of that way back in the day. Epcot's a lot hotter and there's no shade. But it is a little shade at Epcot. The thing I miss, it would be so easy to just take an attraction that's great and has one thing wrong with it, and it's like if that thing only worked, oh, it would be amazing. But no, the Yeti's fine. People who aren't crazy nerds like us still get enjoyment out of the Yeti. What I miss is Dinosaur the way it used to be. For like 3 months, maybe in the middle of 2019, they started turning on some of the old effects. Countdown to Extinction is a much better version. Ooh, shook my whole table. Much better version of what we're dealing with now. It's a great attraction, one of my favorites. But it's just so much missing from it. The jumping, I can't pronounce their names. Some of the lighting effects. It's just not the same. It's still good, it's still fun, but I miss what it used to be. I think it was a far superior attraction in the past.
Is it Conthognasis or something like that? The jumping.
Not even going to try it, man.
I mean,
it's rough. Dinosaur names are rough.
Yeah. So Countdown to Extinction. I mean, they had the attraction was originally supposed to open around the same time as the dinosaur movie that they did, and it was supposed to mirror it. And this is the problem I think that we have a lot of times with attractions that are supposed to open the same time as an IP. You never know if it's going to be successful or not, like the Dick Tracy show. That they had at Hollywood Studios. So yeah, there were some things about Countdown to Extinction that were different, and yeah, I agree with that one. Kamila, have you thought of one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me just say, I really love Animal Kingdom, partially because when you walk in, there's that gorgeous giant anteater that's like right there at the front. That thing is my favorite, and I could literally watch it all day. And I love all of their conservation efforts and how when you purchase things, like it can go towards that. So it's no surprise then that I was a huge fan of Flights of Wonder. I loved that bird show, and I know it was long running, and so maybe it was due for them to try something new. But when they replaced it with the Up show, and I know that didn't last so long, and now they have one that's a little bit closer to the original Flights of Wonder. I think it's Winged Encounters or whatever the name of the new one is. Neither of the two that have replaced it or tried to replace it, to me, have come anywhere close to what the original Flights of Wonder was. I loved that show so much. I, to this day, in my phone, have pictures of all of these birds and owls, because every time I would see that show, I was just so entranced, and I loved that you could just learn so much and come away with such a love for these animals. And to me, that's what Animal Kingdom has the opportunity to do so well, is educate, make people fall in love with nature and the world around us, so that hopefully, we respect it and take care of it a little more.
Okay. No, that's a good one. Coach?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit of a different route here. This is just a fond memory for me. One of my best memories I've ever had at Walt Disney World was we did an after-hours event with my wife. It was the first one we'd ever done, Animal Kingdom, and it was seeing the park at night like that was such a powerful experience for us. We got to ride everything we wanted to ride. Obviously Pandora at night's amazing, but just having that, it felt like having the park to ourselves and having that opportunity to actually have a hard ticket event where there wasn't people shoulder to shoulder with you, really gave a different part of the park where you could really kind of enjoy the park in a way that I'd never really seen Animal Kingdom that way. Before they were really kind of staying open late, and kind of changed their hours when we did it. And it was kind of cool to see the park at night, and we got to go on a night safari, which was really cool. Something completely different than a daytime one. And it was really cool. It was just something that, I'm not asking them to bring it back, but it was one of those things that gave a different perspective to a park that we really enjoy. So.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Is not always is it something that we go, oh man, what could I like? Can you bring that back? I think that there are some things that we look at very fondly that maybe don't have a place in 2021. But then there are some things that I think it was a shame that they left. So one of the things to me is the storyline of the Kilimanjaro Safari that used to be there. I mean, that to me, with the whole Little Red thing, was a whole thing. Like, for those of you who hadn't seen it, it was, you would get on the attraction, you would, hear the warden talking, and you were Simba 1 was the name of your truck, and you would race through, and you would be chasing the poachers, and you would get into the clay pits, and they would have, this is where, Big Red and Little Red, hang out, but we're going to go up and we're going to see them later. And then you go over the bridge, and the bridge would sometimes shake. And then you would get to the part with the poachers, and it was this animatronic like car that would go around in circles. And then you would get to the end, and Little Red would be in the truck, and you would Little Red's swinging the little little trunk, and there's a cast member there pulling the sheet back so you can see Little Red. And then we're there with Simba 1, and he's like, Little Red is okay. And I'm thinking, how much are you getting paid to say Little Red is okay all day long, right? But it was Disney storytelling, right? Like, it's nice. It's a great attraction, Kilimanjaro Safaris, as it is. It's really cool that you get out there, and every time you ride it, it is different because there are different animals in different places, and it's morning is different than afternoon is different than that sunset tragedy that they used to do. But when you go in and you would see that, and it was you were put into the attraction. It made it really kind of special to me. So I'm sad that part is gone, but I kind of get it. And there was all of these stories about how when it first opened and they previewed it to guests, there was the dead carcass of Big Red was sitting there, and it was freaking people out. And so they got rid of that. Little Red was cute. That's all I'm gonna say. Little Red was cute. All right. So that said, also if you're watching along in the stream, we'd love to hear the things that you missed about it. And apparently we just had a big super chat from Rosita. I was in WDW in October, and that wall in Epcot made me crazy. So back to talking about Epcot. Love the update, guys. Just holding on to the magic here. Thank you so much, Rosita. That was very nice. So along the same lines, is there something that was at Animal Kingdom, Patrick, that you don't miss? Like something that is there, and you're like,
it's finally gone.
I'm glad it's gone.
I still saw the skeleton of it. Speaking of bad show, how are you going to dismantle an attraction in front of guests? What happened here? WDI, put scrims up, put something higher. I should not. Well, I took great joy in it, but the average guest should not be able to see the abomination that was Primeval Whirl dismantled. I don't know how they didn't have more lawsuits about that ride. Every time I got off, I felt like a ligament on my knee or something in my back had gone. Now, that being said, it's a cool ride with a very, very meta storyline. It's basically the roadside attraction version of what you get in Dinosaur. So it's really cool. You follow through the exact storyline of Dinosaur with the little murals that pop out, but it's an off-the-shelf coaster, and B, it was incredibly uncomfortable, and I'm so happy to see it go. And opening up that area, we should not be able to get that shot. That shouldn't happen. That's not okay. It's just not okay, and we need people in charge of the company that see that and hey, that's not all right.
Yeah.
It's going to open up the area. I really dig Chester and Hester's. I think it's a good theme. I know it's supposed to look cheap, but I enjoy it. I dig it. Something needs to go there. Right now, it's just going to open the area up, and I'm glad. It's addition by subtraction. That attraction was terrible.
Okay. Kamila, something that you're not sad is gone?
So I also was going to say Primeval Whirl, but the thing is, unlike Patrick, I actually loved that ride. I thought it was fun. It kind of gave you a thrill. It usually didn't have much of a line. If I was ever early for a Yak and Yeti reservation, I would pop over there and ride it a couple of times. So I have fond memories. However, most people I know really hated that ride. And I feel like in Animal Kingdom, space is at a premium. And so if they can bring something new that will still fit the land, but maybe will bring, the average guest, most people, more joy, then I think it's worth it to get rid of something that most people don't like, don't appreciate. So yeah, I also went with Primeval Whirl on this one.
Gotcha. Coach, 3 for 3?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously wanted to say that as well, but I did have the unfortunate experience of seeing Rivers of Light live and sitting down and watching it, and it was like, I remember just sitting next to my wife going, wait, what? Like, do they even know what this show's supposed to be? Because I don't. And it was one of those things where, like, we didn't know any better, and we just sat there to get a quote-unquote good seat, and we're like, is this show happening? Because no one's here. And apparently we missed the memo that it was, like, literally the worst show in the history of shows. We had a really good seat, but it was bad, and I certainly don't miss that. Now we have kite tails, so I don't know if that's any better, but at least we can see kites. Yeah, we get a cool theme song. We have a crash zone, which is always makes it sound awesome, more entertaining than it is. But yeah, it was bad. It was like, I remember just thinking, what am I looking at? It didn't make any sense. I couldn't hear anything. The speakers were all blown out. It wasn't good.
Yeah, the thing about Rivers of Light, though, is you don't know how good it was unless you saw the Jungle Book Alive with Magic. Rivers of Light, for those of y'all who don't know, was supposed to premiere with the park opening and Pandora park opening late, and it was delayed. So they were like, "Oh, we've got this Jungle Book Live movie out now. Why don't we do the Jungle Book Alive with Magic?" Which is kind of like just piecemeal together, and it was not great. So I mean, that would be mine to go on top of the one that you just said. Is Jungle Book Alive with Magic was not good. It was no bueno. Because I
enjoyed Rivers of Light. I really did. I liked it a lot. But Doug in the chat gave us something that I completely forgot. What was it called? French Fryosaurus, the little place where you can just grab McDonald's fries. Oh, it was glorious. It was so great.
Okay. All right, so let me move on to the last bit, and then we kind of can open it up. The last bit was the last question for you guys was, what is something that you never got a chance to do at Disney's Animal Kingdom that you wish you had? And we'll start with you, Patrick, again.
Oh, this one's easy. The flotilla. They're the reformed Discovery River boats. What a great cruise that would be, especially now you can kind of go off-world and visit Pandora. I think it was a really unique thing. We talk about it a lot, the kinetic energy of the parks. It's good to see stuff moving in the area and seeing guests enjoying themselves when you walk in, other than just still water. So I really would have loved the chance to ride the Discovery River boats, and more boats, the more better.
I'm not really sure if that's accurate. Kamila, what do you think?
So, I mean, before you panned it, I was going to say the Jungle Book show. Wait.
But there were two Jungle Book shows, though. There was the Jungle Book Alive with Magic.
I had Journey into the Jungle Book, which may be a different one.
That's a different show. That's it. I'll allow it. Different show.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's like Nemo took the place of this. Like, was it in the same?
Yeah. So let's take a look at the map here. So this is the opening day map, and if you look in the lower right hand corner, you can see where it says Journey into Jungle Book. This was before the amphitheater was built for Rivers of Light. And that's where it was called the Theater in the Wild, and it was Journey into Jungle Book. Then after that, they brought in Tarzan Rocks. Then after that, they enclosed in the theater, and they made it Nemo. But yeah, so Journey into Jungle Book I hadn't done either, but the one I was talking about was called Jungle Book Alive with Magic on the water.
Okay, yeah, that one I had not even heard of, but The Journey into the Jungle Book, for me, like, I grew up with the Jungle Book, and I like Nemo, but I mean, I love the songs of the Jungle Book, and like, I just have so many memories of, like, you know, my parents singing that with my sister and I, and so I would love to see like a Jungle Book show, and I would love to see something that had similar production level to The Lion King, and just, you know, the singing and the dancing and the acrobats. Like, you know, I don't know that that's what that was, but I imagine it that way, and it sounds fantastic. It's like, look at those costumes. We need that in our life.
It's a really nice set too. Like, it's a very well done set.
Oh, Rob, are you muted?
Yep, totally muted. My turn. So that one was a very well done show. I don't know why it was temporary though. I don't know, because then they brought in Tarzan Rocks, which was, I don't know if you guys saw Tarzan Rocks. I know that when like Tyler was talking about making fun of it, I was like, it was good. Like, it was like this whole BMX bikes and rollerbladers and all this kind of stuff going through the place, and it was, you know, the music of Phil Collins, you know, sung live. I mean, it was really to me a neat show.
BMX bikes and rollerblades, Rob.
Don't you dare say another word. Don't you? Nope.
I have a movie for you, Rob.
Nope. So let's go back to the river thing first real quick, because there was something that happened during the river cruise. When they first opened it, it had animatronics and show scenes inside it, and one of them was Aladar to promote the, you know, dinosaur movie and dinosaur. And then they took the Aladar animatronic and they took it over to the backlot tour in Paris at some point. So here is what the Aladar looked like on the left when it was in the water, and then on the right when they had left it out in the in Paris to just fall apart, basically. So that was on the river cruise. So they had some scenes. There was also like a guy hanging, like, you know, that was a thing too. So lots of weirdness,
like Haunted Mansion
with that river cruise, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, Coach, I think yours is the same thing that you
I had what Patrick had. It was just like my wife had brought up to me. She's like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing ever. We never got to do." I was like, "Well, there's my topic." But Patrick stole my thunder, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So it was the Discovery River boats were wait. So then you know all the names of all the vehicles on the Discovery River boats, right, Patrick?
They had some great names. I do not know them all, but I know they had some great names.
The Darting Dragonfly, Otter Nonsense, Leaping Lizard, Crocodile Bell, and Hasty Hippo. Those were the names of the ships. But it was only open 1 year. Actually, 1 day short of 1 year.
And it had like 3 different names over the time that it was there as well.
Yeah,
I guess
it was only open until August 21st, so a little bit over a year. Sorry, and then it became the Radio Disney river cruise, and like they would just play Radio Disney music. The problem was, I think, with that attraction is that there were all these docks, and you would go and get in line, and it would take forever because people didn't have to get off the boats. And so it would come around to the next station, and then they would only have as many seats as were available. And so that line would be hugely long for what wasn't really a great attraction.
And no cover, just out in the sun, which we see that problem continue.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's been a problem. Patrick, you need to stop yelling "Brink" in chat.
What?
I think you need to. That's just a thing we need to stop. The other thing that we didn't even talk about is Camp Mini Mickey. Does nobody miss Camp Mini Mickey? You people.
I never did it.
Well, okay, so Camp Mini Mickey, they were supposed to make Beastly Kingdom, and they were like, we got to get this thing open, and we can't spend any more money. Let's just throw character meet and greets in there. And there was a show. There was a Pocahontas and her forest friends show. So you would go, instead of right now where you head into Pandora, you would head into Camp Mini Mickey. There was a Pocahontas and her forest friends show, and then they had the Legend of the Lion King show, or the Festival of the Lion King show there. And then there was some like little huts where you would go and you would meet the characters in their gear. So
And they had little dioramas there too, like
Yeah.
the nephews had their own one. Yeah, it wasn't anything that we really lost, especially when you consider what's replaced it.
True. Going back to this map, though, one of the other things that I think is always interesting to see in here is when the park first opened, Asia was not open yet. So that was a thing. And then also you can see on the upper right, it says
Tiger River Rapids Run, yeah.
Yeah, Tiger Rapids Run, which for those of you that don't know, Kali River Rapids took the place of that and is half the size that Tiger Rapid Run was supposed to be. So there is, if you ever look on Google Earth, you can see all this like cleared land above Kali River Rapids that was never used between there and Conservation Station, which would be great for a Zootopia attraction, I know, or a Zootopia land, I'm just saying. So that's
a good idea.
Yeah. Donald's Restaurantosaurus, do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
So the Restaurantosaurus is still there, but it was sponsored by McDonald's, and you could go there and get French fries and McDonald's hamburgers, because why wouldn't you want that in a theme park? But then they had the character breakfast that is now at Tusker House used to be at the Restaurantosaurus. So it was really kind of like more of a destination than it is now. So that was something that they used to have that they don't anymore. And again, this is not an old park, right? I mean, by our standards, this is the second youngest domestic park, because DCA came afterwards. But still, this park is still an amazing park to go to, and I think obviously Pandora brought it really into like that must-do category. I think for everything else. I don't know that everybody else felt like Animal Kingdom had enough to keep them busy. You can still see when you look at park passes that it's the last one to fill up as far as park passes go. You usually end up losing Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, and then Epcot, and then Animal Kingdom. So
I think people need like re-education on Animal Kingdom. It's such a great park. It's so much fun to spend a whole day there. Coach made me really nostalgic because I never got to do the nighttime safari either, and I think that was a great offering. The food's really good. Their quick service is tremendous. There's great shows, and you can really just get yourself lost and just kind of wander and see all these animals in what's, not a zoo, which maybe that should have been the thing I missed, the not a zoo tagline, because that's tremendous.
Yes, that's Dad Joke 101, I think is what that is. So yeah, it's right in your wheelhouse. As soon
as you get a baby, they just hand you the dad joke and it's right on top.
Yep,
yeah, get that at the hospital. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to talk about with this is I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but the Mickey's Jam and Jungle Parade. Did you see it, Patrick?
Yeah, I loved it. It was amazing.
The coach is nodding no. Kamila, did you see it?
I don't think so.
So the thing about this park, and like all the parks except for the Magic Kingdom, is none of them were built for parades, really. And so when we heard Ron give speeches at Golden Jamboree and some other the gentleman who was in charge of all the entertainment, he talked about that with Hollywood Studios, that this was a park that was not meant to have a parade, and yet they had to shoehorn a parade in there. This is the same thing here, is that they had a Jam and Jungle Parade, and if you think about how tight those spaces are, think about like large trucks and Jeeps driving through. It was kind of a nightmare, especially like that bridge that goes from the Discovery Island over to Asia. Oh man, it was it was claustrophobic. However, it was an up close and personal parade because of how little room there was, and so it was neat. It was neat how it was themed, and it was kind of like some of the characters were sort of Lion King-esque. That whole Julie Tamar kind of look about them, and then so the Jam and Jungle Parade,
and they gave it a holiday overlay.
The Jungle Parade. I
have seen both Jam and Jungle and Jingle Jungle. And I enjoyed them both. They're fun little parades, but I can see where you're saying like the space considerations is definitely not the best.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's kind of just a quick walk down memory lane with Animal Kingdom. We're going to talk about one more round of Lost Disney World, where we talk about some things that used to happen at the resorts, and some of the other ancillary things that happened, Disney Quest, stuff like that. We'll talk about next time. But I appreciate you guys going along on that journey with me. I feel like we need to kind of celebrate the 50 years, because there's all these things that won't be talked about anywhere else. And so we want to kind of just think about the things that have passed. A lot of people who are older, like Patrick, remember more stuff from back in the day. So,
oh, wow.
So a couple quick things is, one is we have a marathon show coming up, where we are going to be raising money for Toys for Tots. That is something that's coming up we're going to do 50 hours straight. Patrick, are you prepared for that?
I don't have to do nearly as much as I used to, and it's fantastic. I'm glad we have so much talent on this network that Ron and I are not needed to be blackout drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning for reasons.
So, for those of you who don't know, we're going to pick up on Black Friday, November 26th at 7 p.m. We'll have a pre-show with Locked In. Eric Morton will be bringing back Locked In for a pre-show, and then the 50 hours kicks off at 9 o'clock with a News Tonight that goes into a post-show. Then we're going to have the RPG, Ride Rehab. There'll be a live stream from the Orlando Cat Cafe. Ink and Paint will be doing a show. Then there's also a Liquid Magic segment. We're going to have a Deep in the Plus. And then there'll be a Back to the Future on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, Spencer will be doing some live streaming from Tokyo. And then there'll be a Boxed In, and then we'll have an auction. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. We'll give you even more details as things move forward, but that's just a little preview, because I know a lot of people have been asking about the marathon show and when it happens and what's going to be happening there. So, and very special thank you to our WIGS members. If you are not a WIGS member, you can find out more at patreon.com/WDWNT. Finally, a little plug again for Deep in the Plus this week, this Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Patrick and I will be joined by Tyler and by Eric Wolf, and we'll be talking about all the things that happen on Disney Plus Day and all the things that are coming up on Disney Plus. And again, if you're still watching, give us a thumbs up, and we appreciate it. If you are a WIGS member, we have a post show, so we will see you in a little bit in the post show. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys on the panel. Appreciate you. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Da-da-da-da.